giant dog-faced pony shoulder. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
Dub is a shit fuck, you know, bridge tour, etc., etc. Dub is a shit fuck. Dub is a shit fuck, you know, bridge tour, etc., etc.
They're coming all over the place. They're coming all over the place. 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 Coming all over the place.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Everybody comes in your grandmother here. Everybody comes in. Cousins. They come in so easily, so crazy. Everybody comes in your everybody comes in your grandmother, your father, your mother, your brother, your cousins. They come in so easily, so crazy. Everybody comes in your grandmother, your father, your mother, your brother.
Help me, I need
cousins.
water. Help.
They come in so easily,
I need water. I need water.
Everybody comes in your grandmother, your father, your mother, your brother, your cousins. They come in so easily, so crazy. Everybody comes in your grandmother, your father, your mother, your brother, your cousins. They come in so easily, so crazy. Everybody comes in your grandmother, your father, your mother, your brother, your cousins. They come in.
I need water.
So easily,
help me. I need water. Help.
So crazy.
Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
But it's a class action lawsuit against all machines and that they're defective devices, okay?
Testing. Hello? Testing. Hello? Testing. Hello? Hello? Testing. 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 Hi. Hello, users, and welcome to another program. This is the Above It All show. I'm trying to get comfortable here. Today, this is a show. I've got it on, and it's on. The show is on. It's been activated, and it's live. This is a live show. You can see my phone here. So that's my phone. That's got the date and the time. And we have a show today, so I've got a program. Today I'm going to talk about COVID. Today I'm going to be talking about the gays. Today the gays are on the agenda. Today we'll be discussing the gays. And more. And more. So, yeah. Hello, users. We got Fun P with the super chat earlier. I appreciate that. We got Andrew Kohler, who is a known gay. A known gay, as in, gay is a noun here. Bob also. Got so many goddamn gays here, but I love the gays. Huge fan of the gays. So, we'll be getting into that. Got a lot of gay motherfuckers that watch my show. That's crazy. So many gay-ass motherfuckers. Anyway, Alright, so gonna be talking about stuff on the show today. There's a lot, there's all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of shit in the ether, not to be confused with Ethereum, that people want me to talk about. I've got a lot of people DMing me stories. I get it. I'll look into it. I know I took a week off, so I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I could talk about, election stuff. But I got two main stories today that I want to focus on, and then some other stuff. So, are you allowed to eat Chick-fil-A? No, because Chick-fil-A, 1, hates the gays, and 2, is meat. They sell meat there, so can't do it. Got 2 gay guys moving onto my property for the summer, so I love you gays too. Well, tell the gays to watch the show. Be like, Sandy, this is what you gotta do. You gotta, first night, so they move in, right? They sleep. They wake up. So the first morning, right, you go out there, you wear like a giant sun hat, like where it gets to the point where it's like, is that a sombrero or is that a sun hat? Who knows, right? So you go out there and then you scream, right? You scream, hey, gays, get over here. And then say like something like, so I heard you guys are gay, and that's great. I love the gays, but you should watch this show on YouTube because this YouTuber that I know also loves the gays. And then that's going to be the origin story of 2 new Above It All viewers, also known as the gays. They can. So anyway, it's the random faces portion of the show. But I got a show that's done. I did it. Here it is. No, actually, I didn't do it yet. I lied. I'm procrastinating. I could have done it, but I decided to wait until the last moment, and so here we are. Yeah, you gotta have them log in as separate viewers for sure. For sure. All right. So the other day, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but at some point over the course of the weekend, there was a mass shooting in this country, and some of the details coming out of the mass shooting are not so good. There was a mass shooting at a queer bar on the same day as Transgender Day of Remembrance. And, some details about this shooter have come out. And I want to talk about the details here. And I want to, make the connection between this mass shooting with right-wing rhetoric online and in political spaces. So, once again, Transgender Day of Remembrance, you might not know what that is. It's supposed to be a kind of like, imagine a Veterans Day for trans people. Trans people historically have been pretty not well treated in society, at least for the last couple thousand years. Before that, trans people were great. Everyone loved them. But last couple thousand years hasn't been going so well. So we have our own little Veterans Day. And on that day, people like to host celebrations. And so the mass shooter probably understood that and chose that time period to go ahead and do their terror attack. So I'm going to go here, and this is an interesting tidbit of information that I saw. Accused Colorado nightclub gunman, grandson of a longtime East County politician. Anderson Lee Aldrich, 22, is reportedly the grandson of Assemblyman Randy Vopel, a longtime mayor of Santee. So people were looking into this guy's family, and apparently the family of this guy is a right-wing lunatic, a MAGA guy, a guy that parrots and promotes all these conspiracy theories. Who knows what this guy was teaching the mass shooter here when he was sitting on his grampy's lap? Who knows, right? The 22-year-old man arrested early Sunday as the suspected gunman in a deadly mass shooting at an LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado is the grandson of longtime East County politician Randy Vopel. According to media reports, Vopel did not return messages seeking comment, and the Union Tribune could not immediately independently confirm the reports. There was another mass shooting very recently. Mass shooter is the son of a well-connected Republican donor in the area. I believe that was the July 4th shooting that happened in somewhere. It starts with an I. It was one of those I states. Somewhere. Shortly before midnight Saturday, a gunman opened fire in Club Q in Colorado Springs. Police there said 5 people died and 25 were injured. 5 minutes after the first calls came in, police arrested the suspected shooter, Anderson Lee Aldrich. Aldrich's mother appears to be Laura Vopel, according to media, including The Guardian, The Hill, and The Gazette in Colorado Springs. Records reviewed by the Union Tribune, that is the San Diego Union Tribune, which is where I'm reading this article from, lists the same Colorado Springs apartment address for her and Aldrich. Laura Vopel is the daughter of State Assemblyman Randy Vopel, 71, who has represented the 71st District since 2016. He served on the Santee City Council as a council member and mayor for 2 decades. So again, real quick, let me pause here. This is what we talk about when it comes to generational kind of violence and hatred, right? A lot of people love to say the basic thing, right? Slavery was like 200 years ago, bro. Get over it. Right. But again, when you've got people that are the, kids of slave owners and they're getting taught God knows what by those parents, and then they teach whatever they were taught to their parents. And unless someone breaks the cycle, which is, let's be honest, it's not as often or as frequent as it should be, but unless someone breaks the cycle, chances are, again, we still have these parents, these grandparents that are teaching kids to hate other people. It's just that simple. Like, this is a generational problem, right? Like, obviously, no shit, duh, 22-year-old should have known better. No fucking shit. I'm not trying to infantilize him. But a lot of people, they get triggered when you talk about, the parents. The parents. We can't talk about the parents. Remember when people were talking about, like, Kyle Rittenhouse's mom, and then she went on Fox News to talk about, why are people saying I was a bad mom? I mean, like, let's be honest. Your kid went to go murder black people at a protest. You're a pretty fucking terrible mom, right? So in this instance, again, right, it comes down to parenting, environment. This is a child that was born and raised in bigotry and hatred of people that are not the same as them. It's just that simple. Combine that with the fact that you've got rapid dehumanizing rhetoric going on, genocidal freak show rhetoric going on all over the internet. Again, 22 years old. The idea that they're not using the internet, like 22-year-old, not plugged into 4chan every day. They're not on Telegram and these like right-wing 8chan, 8kun fucking message board, like private chat rooms. No, of course they're in that shit. They probably got like a whole phone, full of fucking crazy motherfuckers that they talk to on their various social media applications. So, of course, this guy is using the internet. Of course, it makes sense. But of course, again, the right-wingers are going to try to pretend they have nothing to do with this, bro. We have nothing to do. Again, we lie about transgender people literally every single day and have for years. It's not our fault that someone believed the lies. They should have known better. They should have known we were lying to them. So, anyway, I'm going to show you an example tweet here. And this is of Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh, of course, notorious. Matt Walsh was a nobody. This guy was nobody. No one followed him. He had no followers. He had no fans. The only reason he had a Daily Wire show was because of sympathy from someone that was, just saw he was pathetic and needed a little bump. But Matt Walsh became extremely popular in a very short amount of time. About a year, maybe a year and a half, you could say. And how did he get that popular? Well, he got that popular by starting again, and I use these words very specifically and very purposefully, a literal genocide campaign against transgender people. That's what he did. That's what he started. And now look how popular he is, right? Because hatred is popular in this country. That's what you need to understand. Hatred, bigotry, is the default position. People in this country, if you're born and raised in the United States of America, unless your parents are like devout anti-racist scholars, you're probably going to pick up a bunch of really crazy bigoted things from movies that you watch, from television that you watch. I remember a lot of TV shows, a lot of movies that came out in the 1990s, early 2000s. Transgender people were the butts of every single joke all the time. People learn this stuff. It's ingrained in them from the default, right? So again, Matt Walsh's career was failing, right? And he decided, well, let me start a genocide campaign against the minority group. That'll get America gunning. And now he's rich. He's rich. Think about this. Think about the incentives here and our structure of society. Matt Walsh was just a nobody, a no-name loser, Now he is rich. He's got millions of followers, right? He gets tens of thousands of views on his shows. He gets tens of thousands of dollars in fundraising, right? Why? Because he started a genocide campaign. So this is his response to the mass shooting. Leftists are using a mass shooting to try and blackmail us into accepting the castration and sexualization of children. Now again, first sentence. Where's that big red X from Family Feud? Leftists are using a mass shooting to try and blackmail us into accepting the castration and sexualization of children. Now again, Matt Walsh describes himself as a theocratic fascist. That's his own words. He's using his own words here. No one else is describing him as this. This is his description. If that triggers you, go ask him about it. Theocratic. What is theocratic? Theocratic means religious. Now, what religion does Matt Walsh subscribe to? He is a Christian. Now, Christians love to circumcise their children. It's true. I know. It's crazy. What is circumcision? You might not know. Circumcision is when a baby is, they're a baby. They cannot consent, right? And they are forced by their parents and by medical quote-unquote professionals to have their dick chopped off. It's a religious ceremony. They remove the foreskin from children. Now, again, I believe I read an article that suggested around 70% of Americans support circumcision, right? So, and again, Matt Walsh, theocratic fascist. He's a fascist, but specifically a theocratic one. And what is his theocracy of choice? Christianity. And again, the institution of Christianity's most common practice is cutting babies' dicks off, again, when they're a couple weeks old. Now, again, foreskin. What's the big deal, right? Foreskin, I don't know. I've never had one, right? So I don't know what the big deal is. But from people that have foreskins, they tell me, pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. That's what they tell me. I don't know. So sadly, I will never have that information. But again, that's what Christians support. That's a majority of this country. They support removing forcibly parts of genitals from children. That's what they support. That's their policy proposal. So factor that into this. They're accusing left-wingers of wanting to castrate and sexualize children. The guy who wants the institution of the church to overthrow the government and become a state run by the church. What does the church do? Castrate babies by this logic, right? His own logic. Why is he calling it castration when a 16-year-old chooses to get their breasts cut off? That's castration, right? That's the word that he uses to describe that. When a 23-year-old decides to have a certain procedure done, that's castration. If a 16-year-old or a 14-year-old takes a pill that's completely 100% reversible for 3 months, and then maybe they get off of it, and then everything's normal, they're fine, that's castration. That's Matt Walsh saying. He calls that castration. So if I say circumcision is castration, I'm using Matt Walsh's logic. It's his logic. I'm not making up my... Now, I would go as far as to say, yes, it is castration as well. I would say that. But again, I'm using his logic to be very specific here. So let's move on. These people are just beyond evil. They're evil. Leftists are evil. Now, again, what's the context? What's the news story? A right-wing MAGA guy murdered at least 5 queer people. Who knows how many of the 25 injured will die? Murdered 5 people specifically, and only the one single reason. There aren't 20 reasons. There aren't 30 reasons. He wasn't having a bad day. He went there specifically and exclusively because he wanted to kill queer people. That's it. So that's the context of this. And the leftists are evil. Now again, leftists are they're not evil. They're beyond evil. The English language, according to Matt Walsh, does not have appropriate words to describe just how evil the leftists are. Now again, step 1. Fascists, like, again, self-described fascist Matt Walsh, promote fake news propaganda against minorities. Step 2, their viewers murder people based on that. Step 3, the real evil are the people that got murdered. Yeah, that person in the hospital bed who got shot 3 times and is currently in a coma, that's the real evil. That person is beyond evil. The family of the people that were shot and murdered by this lunatic, they're beyond evil. Not the lunatic. Well, he might be bad, right? Yeah, shooting people might be bad. But the real evil, again, the context here, think about this. Imagine, right? Imagine being this person. I can't even think about it. Like, I literally, outside of, like, doing a really over-the-top, like, sketch comedy, I could not imagine possibly thinking in this fashion for even a second. It's insane. Again, a mass shooting perpetuated by a right-winger that went and specifically targeted a specific minority group. In the same day, this guy calls the minority group that was targeted the real evil. I mean, again, think about that. That's crazy. I have never felt more motivated to oppose everything they stand for with every fiber of my being. Despicable scumbags. So again, everything they stand for. What does that mean? Now, obviously, that's a little hyperbolic. I don't think Matt Walsh is against eating food. I stand for eating food. I don't think Matt Walsh would disagree with me there. So obviously, I believe he's being a little hyperbolic. But again, think about it. despicable scumbags. Who are the despicable scumbags? The neo-Nazi shooter? Or the people in the hospital right now that are suffering from extreme blood loss? Who are the real scumbags? According to Matt Walsh, of course, it's the victims of this mass shooting. People die, and the first thing they think is, yes, we can use this as ammo against conservatives who don't think children should be exposed to drag shows. Soulless demons. Evil to the core, truly. Again, drag shows. So first it was castration and sexualization. Now it's drag shows? So again, let's just logic. We're logicking this, right? We're using this as, we're doing this in a mathematical fashion. Would you advocate, or would you say the same thing if someone went to a Hooters? Let's say someone went to a Hooters and murdered everyone that worked at the Hooters. Hey, they were sexualizing children. Someone had a 15th birthday party at Hooters. So let's go in there and murder everybody, right? That's the logic here. If sexualizing children is defined, we're defining that concept as a drag show. Well, what is a drag show? A drag show is a bunch of people in costumes, not naked, again, not naked, costumes. They dress up in costumes. They're not naked. No one is swinging a dick in a 5-year-old's face, right? Again, so a drag show is people dressing up in a costume and dancing. Now, again, you can argue a kid shouldn't be in that environment. Personally, I don't have children. I wouldn't take my kid to a drag show. I wouldn't take my kid to a bar. Maybe, maybe if they're 16, 17, maybe I'd consider it, but I personally don't care. Now, again, if someone disagrees with me, would I advocate for them to die? No. Matt Walsh, if you disagree with me, you should be killed. Now, again, Matt Walsh says, I've never felt more motivated to oppose everything they stand for. So Matt Walsh is utilizing a tragedy, a mass shooting, hate crime, terror attack against a minority group as a rallying cry to get everyone in his social group to double down on the lies. Now, again, I know that some people might be dumb enough to think that transgender people existing is quote-unquote sexualizing children. Some people, they are that stupid. Now, would I be willing to bet that Matt Walsh is not that stupid? Maybe I wouldn't take that bet. But I'm willing to say it is much more likely, given the fact that Matt Walsh was a nobody. He was a nobody. Like 2 years ago, nobody. More people knew who I was than Matt Walsh 2 years ago, right? And now all of a sudden murdering transgender people, adults, kids, whatever, murder everyone, all of them, right? All of a sudden it's so important to him. Somehow I doubt it. But again, these people, now I know, they're crazy. Oh, these are the crazy ones. I get it. Okay, yeah, they're nuts. I get it. But I need you to understand, Matt Walsh, how many followers does this guy have? Now let's assume, right, we know this. Let's look at some stats here. We know that 70% of email traffic is spam. We can extrapolate that, Elon Musk loved to do this big thing. Like, at least 10 or 12% of Twitter users are bots or whatever. Right, let's say this. Let's just take the email statistic, 70%, as a high end. And let's just be very, very clear that that's a high end. So even if 70% of Matt Walsh's followers on social media pages are bots or fake or whatever, let's assume that as possible. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's true. I'm saying that a number of them, maybe 5, 10, 20%. I'm just saying he's got a lot of followers. That still leaves a shitload of people, right? There's millions of people that follow this guy. Right, so let's assume, again, even 70% of them are fake. That's still a fuckload of motherfuckers, at least 100,000 motherfuckers that follow this guy and genuinely, like, they think this way. Now, again, Matt Walsh, it's very possible he's lying for money. When you look at his history, he does a lot of lying for money. right? And again, just so happens, over the last year, he started getting a lot of money when he started talking about killing trans people. Now he's talking about it every day. Just so happens, right? Totally coincidental. But again, there's at least hundreds of thousands of people that follow this guy and genuinely, like, they read this and they go like, yep, those leftists, you know, the ones who just got targeted in a terror attack mass shooting, yep, they're the real evil. Evil to the core. They're demons from hell. So again, you know, when I talk about these goofballs, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, all these fucking morons, right? I know there's a good chance that they're all lying for money. I know it. I know how easy it is to lie for money. I mean, you know, whenever I, like, make a Joe Biden video, right? If I make the Joe Biden video and I make a title, like, that's critical of Joe Biden, that video will get a lot of views because right-wingers will come in, right? They'll think, oh yeah, Joe Biden is Sleepy Joe. Then they realize I'm criticizing him from the left, and then they call me a tranny or whatever other thing, you know. And so I'm aware, like, if I just kept talking about Joe Biden and Sleepy Joe and how bad he is, right? I'm aware I could get a lot more money. And let's say I lied. I think Joe Biden's a bad president, but let's say I pretended to think he's a bad president because of Hunter Biden's laptop or some other stupid conspiracy. I know for a fact, I know this for a fact, that I could get extremely successful on YouTube if I lied for money. I know this for a fact. I guarantee you, I could have at least, if you give me 5 years, I would have at least 1 million subscribers, guaranteed. I know how the game is played, right? So I know when this guy is a nobody 2 years ago, and all of a sudden he's getting a bunch of money from right-wing institutions, right? This guy is not like a grassroots organizer. This guy got a break by a giant fucking media conglomerate, right? And I know that if you lie for money, especially if you have a right-winger giving you a shitload of seed money, you can go a long way, right? So again, I'm willing to believe that these guys lie for money. But the reason why I make a video like this is because there are people that believe this. But they're not going to be moved by logic. They're gone. They're too far gone. They're zombies, right? They're zombies. Now again, zombies? Are zombies necessarily dangerous? You ever play a game with zombies in it? Watch one of those zombie movies, zombie shows, right? Zombies are dangerous most of the time, but, you know, you hide in an apartment building. Sometimes, you know, you got like games like Dead Rising where the zombies are fucking stupid, right? You can like jump on a table and the zombies can't get you, right? But again, the right-wingers are zombies. That doesn't mean they're all dangerous. It doesn't mean they all want to kill people per se. There's a good chunk of them that do, right? And if you remove a couple societal conditions, like, again, you remove the threat of prison, you're going to see a lot more right-wing violence, right? That's why you see in these instances where cops, right-wingers become cops. Why? It removes the threat of prison. They get to enforce their bigotry, their white supremacy, their anti-gay, anti-trans stuff on real people and get away with it. 98% of cops that kill people don't even get charged, right? So, but again, you know, if you jumped off the table, going back to the Dead Rising analogy, if you played Dead Rising, hear me out here. If you haven't, just listen. If you jump off that table, the zombies are going to fuck you up. Think about it. That's the world we live in. There's a very, 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 very small thread that's keeping this thing from collapsing. There are. Now, again, let's extrapolate. How many people voted for Republicans in the midterm election? A lot. I haven't seen the final numbers yet because there are no final numbers, so I'm waiting. But let's assume how many people voted for Donald Trump in 2020, about 70 million people. Let's assume 70 million. Let's assume half of them, right, actually believe it. Now, again, why would the other half of the 70 million, why would 45 million people not believe the things Donald Trump says? Why would they vote for him if they don't believe the shit that he says? Why would they vote for him if they don't believe in the hateful transphobic rhetoric that he says, the hateful black rhetoric, anti-Jewish rhetoric, you know, his statements on immigrants, right? Why would they vote for him if they don't believe that? Oh, tax code, whatever, right? But again, let's assume just half, right? Let's just assume this. Half of Republicans that voted for Donald Trump in 2020 actually agree with him on these issues. That's 45 million people that actually think that all immigrants are rapists. That's 45 million people that actually think that transgenders are coming to chop up the kids. That's 45 million people. Think about that. How do you have a society, right? How do you have a society where that is acceptable? How do you have a society where, like, people can go to the grocery store and get what they need? Andrew Kohler corrects me, 37 million, half of 74. I was just rounding up, but yeah, thank you. I'm just rounding up, but yeah. Let's assume half of that. Let's assume 20 million. That's still, again, think about it. It's small in the grand scheme, but think about it. You go to the grocery store, how many motherfuckers you see at the grocery store? 30, 40, 50? When it's busy, maybe you see 100 people at the grocery store. Think about it, 10 of them. You see 100 motherfuckers at the grocery store, 10 of them believe Donald Trump and agree with him on the shit that he says. Probably would agree with Matt Walsh on the shit that he says. Think about it. 1 in 10. Now, I'm willing to say it's more like 1 in 5, 1 in 4. Right? I'm willing to say that, but like I'm being extremely charitable here. Let's say 1 in 10 members of society literally want to commit a genocide against another random one. Let's say you have 10 people in society, right? One of them wants to kill one of the other ones, and then the 8 people that are not involved, they don't give a shit. And that's liberals, that's Democrats. They don't give a fuck. Now imagine you're in a room with 10 people, right? One of them has a gun and threatens to shoot the other one simply because they're transgender. And the 8 people stand there and watch it. Maybe one of them is eating popcorn. Those are liberals. Those are Democrats. They're useless. They're garbage, right? They're certainly not going to jump in front of the bullet. They're not going to even say, maybe they'll go Hillary Clinton on him. You know, I really think you should cut it out. Maybe, it's possible. One of them might wag their finger and say, bad. But are they going to do anything about it? Jump the guy? Nah. Jump in front of the bullet? No. Try to protect the innocent minority who literally did nothing other than breathe oxygen on planet Earth? Nah. They don't give a fuck, because they're not the ones in the crosshair. Yet. So anyway, that's my statement on this. I think I said everything I need to say. I don't know. I probably could come up with something else, but there you go. Anyway, hopefully everyone's having a good day today. Don't mean to start the show on a bad note, but it's only, I don't know if it gets worse, but it depends on how you quantify things, or I guess qualify things. But I'm going to be talking about some other stuff here. We have to hear both sides. It's true. What does the guy with the gun think about this whole situation? Yeah, imagine that, yeah. Those are Democrats. Those are the Democrats, right? Like, someone is, like, bound and gagged with a gun to their head, right? And the Democrats are like, what does the gunman really, like, what is their opinion on this whole thing that's going on here? This whole thing, this whole situation, I wonder what they think about it. Yeah. Let's figure it out. I'd love to know. Now, again, I mean, from a psychology perspective, it's interesting to know what creates psychopaths, right? We got at least, I'm willing to say this, now that I'm not doing the segment for a video anymore, I'm willing to say we got at least 100 million psychopaths in this country, at least. Bare minimum. That's my perspective. Now, how do I define a psychopath? Is a psychopath someone that necessarily wants to harm people and goes out of their way to actively do it? Not necessarily. Right? I would define a psychopath as someone that doesn't give a fuck about anyone else and does things that harm them for their own gain. And that's almost everyone in this country. So when I say 100 million, that's like a low ball. That's like, damn! damn, you think 1 in 3 Americans are psychopaths? I'm willing to say 6 out of 7 Americans are psychopaths. I mean, have you seen this fucking country? Have you ever walked down a sidewalk in a busy city and seen how people treat homeless people? I'm willing to say 9 out of 10 people in this country are fucking psychopaths. But I want to be fair. I want to be fair. I don't want, it's probably, if I'm counting all my biases on my hand here, I got a lot of biases. It's probably along the lines of 150 million psychopaths in this country. Probably. Ish. And that's a rough estimate. And if you want to provide to me any details, any argument in opposition to that, I'd love to know. I really would. I'd love to know the argument against that. Now again, are all psychopaths the same? Are all serial killers the same? Are all mass shooters the same? No, sometimes they kill 5 people, sometimes they kill 30 people, sometimes they kill 60 people, right? And to that same logic, I think almost all Americans are psychopaths in the sense that they inflict a lot of damage on everyone else. And now again, different people will inflict different amounts of damage. Right? Like, I don't, I have no faith at all in this country and the population, anyone that lives here. Like, I'm willing to say 99 out of 100 Americans, just throw them in the garbage. That's where I'm at right now. Maybe I'll change my mind in the future. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm willing to say 999 out of 1,000 Americans probably could be thrown out in that giant landfill that's in the middle of the fucking Pacific Ocean. I'm willing to say that much. But, whatever. Anyway, let's talk about COVID. So, I'm going to do a 2-parter for COVID for this segment. I want to talk about 2 separate stories and just juxtapose them. So, I have a story here. I don't know if it's a story. I guess that's not necessarily an article is the more proper term, but how to stay safe Thanksgiving amid spread of COVID-19, flu, and RSV. For those who don't know, RSV is a third virus going around. How to stay safe at Thanksgiving? Well, first of all, the premise, right? The premise. Fucked. The premise is fucked, all right? But here's my second article that I want to juxtapose this with. MRI reveals significant brain abnormalities post-COVID. Now, real quick, I want to scroll down to this section here where it defines the portions affected. The left orbital inferior frontal gyrus, I don't know, a key region for language comprehension and production. So, key parts of the brain focused around language comprehension. Really? Okay, interesting. Right orbital inferior frontal gyrus associated with the various cognitive functions, including attention, really, motor inhibition, and imagery, as well as social cognitive processes. Really? Okay, so in other words, Americans are getting dumber and dumber and dumber, and also less sociable, as if Americans had an excess of being very social creatures. Americans are fucking horrible to each other, right? So it's only going to get worse. So again, I'm going to read more of this in a second here. But I want to juxtapose that. How to stay safe this Thanksgiving amid spread of COVID-19, flu, and RSV. Right? So, okay. How to stay safe this Thanksgiving? Well, obviously, the answer is don't go. That's the obvious answer. That's the answer. That's not one of possible answers. This isn't like a multiple choice test where it's like you fill in, it's like, list as many as you think apply, and there's like 8 boxes and you fill in like 3 out of the 8 or something. There's one answer. It's multiple choice. You got 4 answers, A, B, C, or D, and only one of them is correct. Every other one is wrong. And that answer is stay home. Okay? I'm sorry. That's the answer. So unless I scroll down and the only thing this article says is stay home, let's see. It should just be 2 words, 1 period, stay home. So, okay, how to stay safe this Thanksgiving? Scroll down. Oh, it looks a lot more than 2 words. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, bringing with it opportunities for festivities with family and friends. Now, again, I don't know about you. Maybe this says more about me than it does about the average American. I don't know. But does anybody actually think about this? Maybe, the fellow queers in my audience can empathize with my position. Does anybody actually like going to fucking Thanksgiving? And sincerely, does anybody like it? I don't. I certainly don't. I've never liked a Thanksgiving in my life. When I was 5 years old, fuck that shit. When I was 8 years old, fuck that shit. When I was 23 years old, fuck that shit. I fucking hate Thanksgiving. Now again, I could be alone on this one. I could be, but I'm willing to argue that most people don't like Thanksgiving. Now again, is this about a family situation? Do I hate my family? Probably. Whatever. There's people in my family. I love them. They're great. I'll hang out with them. I don't want to hang out with my stupid shitfuck uncle I haven't seen in 12 fucking years, who voted for Donald Trump after 3 fucking glasses of wine. I don't want to be around that person. Does anyone else in the room at that point want to be around that person? I don't think anybody wants to be around that person. Does that person even want to be there? So I'm willing to argue that Thanksgiving, that no one likes it. Now again, some people might like it. Some people might have their own way to manage the holiday. Right? But like, I like the concept of Thanksgiving. Right? Yeah, everyone gets together. They have a good time. I've never experienced the good time part. For me, Thanksgiving ends at the everyone gets together. So, now again, this is a COVID article, right? So just bear with me, but I'm doing like a little stand-up bit here. Just fucking let me do my own show, okay? You know what sucks about fucking Thanksgiving? Not just the day of Thanksgiving, but like the weeks. And I say weeks leading up to it. Right? You ever get these random phone calls? Hey, can you bring this? Can you bring the cranberry sauce? Bitch, I don't even like cranberry sauce. Why am I bringing it? Can you bring the fucking stuffing? I'm a vegetarian, asshole. Oh, can you do this? I don't want to do any of your side quests. Okay? I don't. I'm sorry. But you ever get these fucking phone calls? Like, and we're talking like, it's October 13th. And motherfuckers are calling me on the phone. Can you do this? No. Right? Fuck you. Okay? I don't want to be any part of that. I don't want to be anywhere within like a 70-mile radius of any Thanksgiving dinner with anyone that I've ever met before. Okay? I don't. But it's, again, especially when you're young. When you're younger, like late teens, early adults, right? Or you're not really old enough to be your own person. Everyone still sees you as a kid, but you're old enough to like maybe go and do an errand. Fuck. Side quest after side quest. And then there's like the day before Thanksgiving. Everyone's freaking out. Oh, are we going to have enough time? Because there's never enough time. You ever think there's never enough fucking time at Thanksgiving? Right? Start the day before, there's never enough time. Start the day 2 days before, never enough time. Oh, we gotta let this turkey cook for fucking 18 years. It's like fucking whiskey. You gotta age that shit. No. First of all, now again, I'm a white person. Hey, I'll cop to it. I'll admit it. I'll tell the truth. The rumors are true. I'm white. It's real. So, I can't speak for other people that live in other kinds of families. But I'm going to be very honest with you, and I hope that people aren't watching me that are in my family. I mean, I'm sure they don't. But no one in my family can cook. Now, my grandma, she makes good food sometimes. Okay? Now, again, I love her. She makes good food sometimes. Thanksgiving dinner is there's no good food. Right? There's no good food. You got turkey. Now, again, I'm a vegetarian currently. When I was young, now, again, I know we're talking about COVID here. I know, and I'm doing this whole stand-up routine. Bear the fuck with me, okay? It's my show. When I was young, I would eat meat. I know. I didn't know any better. Now, again, I had two parents, and they did not like each other, right? So every other Thanksgiving, I stayed at home with my single mom, and it was just us, and we'd eat fucking ice cream, a gallon of ice cream, and watch fucking Seinfeld reruns. That was my Thanksgiving with my mom. But then, and that was that's the preferable option. Thanksgiving with my dad's side of the family, oh God, you got the turkey that's so dry that it absorbs all, you ever put turkey in your mouth and all the saliva that was in your mouth is gone instantly? It evaporates, it's the driest fucking shit you've ever seen. Right? Has anyone ever felt this? When I was 8 years old, I didn't know what cottonmouth was. I didn't really blaze up, as I do now. But you ever smoke a lot of weed and then wake up in the morning and you feel like you're suffocating? Yeah, that's called my grandma's Thanksgiving dinner. So you got the turkey that's not, it's inedible. You can't eat it, right? And it's got these sauces that are horrible. And then you got these sides that are terrible. And it's all fucking trash. You got gravy, which is disgusting. Mashed potatoes that are all fucking gross. You got cranberry sauce, which, again, and I ask you this is all to ask you, does anyone actually like Thanksgiving? Because in my experience, it's weeks of stress. You might get 10 minutes of a good conversation with a cousin you haven't seen in 6 years. Maybe. And now, again, I'm a gambling addict. I've said this before. I love gambling. Now, I don't often gamble with money, though I do sometimes. But I love gambling. I love playing video games that have a slot machine mechanics, like Doom, for example. That game's a slot machine. I love it. I love gambling. Thanksgiving, I would rather go sit at the most, develop a formula, right? And whatever the least fair casino is in all of Las Vegas, I would rather sit there with my entire life savings. And I think I'd have better odds on getting that 10-minute good conversation with a cousin. I'd have better odds of getting the lowest tier roll on the slot machine than I would having that one possible good moment at a Thanksgiving fucking holiday, whatever. I'm sorry, man. Fuck that shit. Right? Because all the young, anyone that you would theoretically have a good experience with, right? Maybe, you see your cousin and you smoke weed in the backyard for a little bit. That's cool. But as soon as you open that door and you go back inside, it's hell on earth. All right? So anyway, this is all to say. I know just bear the fuck with me. I know, okay? This is all to say that there's a pandemic going on. Think about this, right? There's a fucking pandemic going on. 1 million dead motherfuckers. 1 million dead motherfuckers. Think about this. There's a lot of people going to Thanksgiving, and there might be an empty seat because of COVID. Think about that. There's a very highly statistical chance that almost, if you pick a random Thanksgiving dinner out of a hat, that there's going to be an empty seat at that table. And yet, people are still flying on planes. They're still getting in that house that was built in 1926, in that small living room with 40 people all walking around with their own plate of jiggling cranberries. Think about this. There's a pandemic. There's 1 million dead motherfuckers. They might even be talking about how Uncle Ralph couldn't make it. Why couldn't he make it? He died of COVID. That might even be a subject of conversation. And yet, people are still going to get on planes. That's crazy. I mean, think about this. Think about this, man. Like, and again, Thanksgiving. Like, if you're saying this, like, I got to go through an airport during a pandemic to, like, fly somewhere, and, like, maybe it's like, I don't know, I'm flying to, like, Super Sex Island, and there's, like, 10 hot-ass guys, and they're all gonna, like, gangbang me, and I'm gonna eat, like, fucking the best food on earth, and, like, I'm gonna do all the best drugs in the world. Maybe I'd go through a COVID airport, right? But for fucking Thanksgiving? What? People are going through the airport during a pandemic for Thanksgiving. Give me a fucking break. Thanks. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's like that's like going through a minefield in fucking South Vietnam to go to, like, a Dairy Queen? Oh, wow. Really? Like, I mean, like, my God. Humans talk about, like, and I said earlier that I'm willing to bet you a majority of Americans could be clinically diagnosed with sociopathy. I'm willing to bet you. And this article right here is this is my evidence. Exhibit A, this fucking article. How do you stay safe during Thanksgiving in a pandemic? You don't go anywhere. That's how you fucking stay safe, motherfucker. Okay? Anyway, this year's holiday happenings also risk attracting some unwelcome guests. I love the creative writing. The creative writing, again. 1 million dead motherfuckers. Like, imagine this. Imagine this. I know some people might get fucking triggered at this analogy. Imagine this. The Holocaust. Now, hey, just throwing it out there. Now, imagine you're Jewish in Germany during the Holocaust, right? How to stay safe during Thanksgiving or whatever, insert a Jewish holiday here, during the fucking Holocaust. Well, as we know, now, am I trying to compare COVID to the Holocaust? Yeah, I am. Not necessarily the same exact thing. It's not 100%. Just bear the fuck with me, okay? How to stay safe for this year's holiday happenings might also attract some unwelcome guests. Like, again, 1 million dead motherfuckers. And that's just in the U.S. That's just in the U.S. Now, again, going back to this article to juxtapose this, there's study after study after study that says that long COVID affects 1 in 5. Some studies say 2 in 5, right? So let's compromise that 30% of people that get COVID are developing some form of long COVID. We have studies that have said if you don't rest when you have COVID, you are more likely to develop long COVID. We have a society where if you call in sick, you get fired. We are now, again, this study. In fact, I'm just going to read this article here. Let's read more of this information. About 1 in 5 adults will develop long-term effects from COVID-19, according to the U.S. CDC and Prevention. Neurological symptoms associated with long COVID include difficulty thinking or concentrating, headache, sleep problems, lightheadedness, pins and needles sensation, change in smell or taste, depression, and anxiety. However, studies have found COVID-19 may be associated with changes to the heart, lungs, and other organs, even in asymptomatic patients. Now, again, what does asymptomatic mean? Now, again, this goes back to the language thing. The English language, for all its pros, for all how useful it is in a lot of areas, man, the English language is some fucked up shit. What does asymptomatic mean? What does it mean? Think about it. Think in your head, come up with a definition. Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means you don't exhibit symptoms. Now, this leads me to 2 questions. I know I'm sounding like Jordan Peterson here, but bear with me. What is exhibit and what are symptoms? Well, exhibit is, you are sneezing. And the symptom is sneezing. And the action of sneezing is exhibiting the symptom. Now, if you have COVID, right? And let's say you're just a little irritable. Are you asymptomatic? How do you define things like brain fog? Can you be asymptomatic if you have brain fog? Is that a symptom? Now again, let's also move down from our logic high horse here and think about, what does the average American think asymptomatic versus exhibiting symptoms would be? Sneezing. Do I have a runny nose? Do I cough? Anything other than that, you're good to go. Going to work. So, okay. As more people become infected and recover from COVID-19, research has begun to emerge, focusing on the lasting consequences of the disease. For this study, researchers used susceptibly weighted imaging to analyze the effects that COVID-19 has on the brain. Magnetic susceptibility denotes how much certain materials such as blood, iron, and calcium will become magnetized in an applied magnetic field. This ability aids in detection and monitoring of a host of neurological conditions, including microbleeds, vascular malformations, brain tumors, and stroke. Quote, group-level studies have not previously focused on COVID-19 changes in magnetic susceptibility of the brain, despite several cases reporting signaling such abnormalities, said study co-author Sapna S. Mishra, who works somewhere, and that's a lot of words. Our study highlights the new aspect of neurological effects of COVID-19 and reports significant abnormalities in COVID survivors. Now, again, I want to say this much. According to the CDC, 87% of people under the age of 18 in this country have had COVID at least one time. 87%. That's an entire generation. Under 18s, 87%. An entire generation. Now again, how do we know that long COVID affects 1 in 5 people? Well, we have a cluster of symptoms that we measure for. And again, how do you measure brain fog? What if someone doesn't know they have brain fog? How do you identify brain fog? Right, a lot of studies say 2 in 5. Some studies say 1 in 5. If you look into the details, a lot of it depends on how they define certain things, right? So again, let's say, low level, whatever that means, right? Brain fog. Let's say that doesn't count as long COVID, right? But that's still 1 in 5 under 18s are going to have a lifelong debilitating illness because their parents and their parents' generation decided essentially to fuck them in the ass with a bat that has nails all over it, essentially is what happened as a society. I mean, again, we can look at the boomers. I mean, they fucked people in the ass with a chainsaw, motherfucker. The way this society has been treated by the boomers. But again, now Gen Z being disregarded entirely by every other generation. Millennials, Generation X, boomers, the silent generation, they all agree. COVID is fake. It's not real. Joe Biden agrees COVID is fake. He said the pandemic's over. Remember that? The Republicans agree COVID's fake. Everyone agrees. The scientists have something else to say, but no one listens to the fucking scientists. No one gives a fuck about the goddamn scientists. They don't care. Oh, medical experts? Fuck them. Fuck them. Anyway, let's see how to stay safe during Thanksgiving real quick. Quote, our winter virus season is here early. Especially for our kids. We are seeing stress on our clinics and hospitals that care for kids, especially infants and kids under 12. Dr. Tomas Aragon, California's blah, 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 said recently, it's important to remember the kids get infected from other kids and adults, so everyone needs to do their part. Now again, language. I love to analyze, and maybe some would say with too much of a fine-tooth comb on people's word choices. Now I'm not going after the doctor here. I'm not trying to say that the doctor is a bad person, but let me just look at this word here. We are seeing stress on our clinics and hospitals that care for kids. Stress. Stress is doing a lot of work. There are reports coming out of Massachusetts that have said that children's hospitals have full ICU capacity. Again, I've already said 87% of kids I say is anyone under the age of 18, have had COVID at least one time. Last week, the CDC director, ostensibly the head of the CDC, has said that there is a gigantic uptick in infant hospitalization, specifically related to COVID and other flu-like viruses over the course of the summer and the autumn. So again, we are seeing a stress on our clinics. That is putting it lightly. But again, I'm not saying that the doctor's doing anything bad here. Of course, the doctor's trying to get the word out, right? I'm just saying that just most people, they're not going to think about this stuff, right? Most people, they hear, oh, they're being stressed. Oh, get over it. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps, drink a cup of coffee, because they don't know what that means. Well, it's impossible to eliminate the risk of catching COVID-19, the flu, or RSV. That's not true. Now, again, this is just straight up fake news. This is straight up, they are lying. That's like saying it's impossible to combat climate change. It's impossible to combat lung cancer. You can severely mitigate your risk, right, by not smoking cigarettes. Now, you might get lung cancer anyway, and that sucks. But chances are, it came from something else. But with COVID, you can completely mitigate it. You stay home. Oh, but I can't afford to stay home. Again, another problem with society. If society as a whole would have everyone stay home, couple weeks, couple months maybe, everything's paid for. Rent? What's rent? Grocery bill? I don't know what that is. Electricity? What? No, it's all free. Why? Because we have an abundance. That's the United States of America. We have an abundance of power. We have an abundance of food. We throw away more food than we eat in this country. We have an abundance. We have an abundance of housing. Why do people need to pay rent during a pandemic? Right? But again, we don't live in a society that cares about people. We don't. Look at speed limits. Look at speed limits. You might think, oh, what does COVID have to do with speed limits? Now, again, I've said earlier in my show, I'm willing to bet, I would put money on this, that at least 50% of Americans are psychopaths. Now, is that an active choice? First of all, I don't believe in free will at all. But on a secondary basis, going down from that, I don't believe that most people exercise free will. If free will exists in a philosophical sense, right, it would be where we exercise it to make choices. I don't think most people, especially Americans, I don't think most Americans make choices. I don't. Do you choose to go to work? No, you don't. Do you choose where you live? Not really. Do you choose your routine? Probably not. Do you choose what food you eat? Probably not. So I'm willing to say that most Americans do not exercise their free will at all. But think about this. Back to speed limits. Every time a speed limit is increased, it directly correlates with traffic accidents, which also, by the way, correlates with traffic deaths. More accidents, more people die. More opportunities for people to die. Well, I want to get to Wendy's 13 seconds sooner. So how many people need to die? Now, again, we know this. We literally can do it's a mathematical formula, right? Every mile per hour you increase the speed limit is correlated directly. It will cause people to die. When you vote, let's say there's a city council vote or direct democracy ballot initiative to increase speed limits, let's say by 5 points, 10 points everywhere. When you vote for that, you are voting to kill more people. It's just a fact. Now, again, you can say, well, it's easier I got to get where I need to go. Trains, planes, they have a lot less likelihood of crashing than cars. So again, there's a solution there. Now, are people going to die in train accidents? Absolutely. Is it going to be less or more than car accidents? It's going to be a lot less. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Every time we as a society choose to increase speed limits or to produce or to subsidize car companies, we are choosing to kill people. It's a fact, right? Most Americans don't care. They don't think about it. And so it's the same thing with COVID. We know that we're not talking about 80%. We're not talking about 90%. We're not talking about 99.9.999999999999999%. We're not talking about that. We're talking about 100%. All right. absolute certainty. We know for a fact that Thanksgiving will kill people. We know that for a fact. It is a fact. It is provably true. Every year, now again, before COVID, you're a COVID conspiracy guy, I get you, whatever. Before COVID, it's a fact. Flu season. What coincides with flu season? The holidays. What coincides with flu season? Winter. Everyone going into buildings and all the windows are closed. Poor ventilation. What coincides with the holidays? Shopping. You gotta shop. Shop, 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 shop. Where do you shop? At a store. So again, what kind of store are you going to go to? Maybe a department store where everyone who wants all kinds of different things will all get together in one confined space with poor ventilation, right? So again, even before COVID, there is and was a mathematically provable formula. You can say this: every year Thanksgiving happens, more people get the flu, more people get hospitalized, more people die. It's a cycle. It's predictable. We know that for a fact. We know that for a fact. Are we going to do anything about it? No, of course not. Again, COVID. COVID has proved verifiably that most Americans are psychopaths. It's proved it. It is proof. You ask me, oh, you think Americans are psychopaths? Why? How this country treated the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm not talking about the leadership failure. I'm not talking about Donald Trump failing because he did. Joe Biden failing because he did. They all failed. The CDC failed. Everyone failed at the leadership. But Americans, the average American also failed. They all failed. Everyone failed. Now again, there's a couple people that haven't failed. Right? Now again, a lot of people, if you're forced to go to work in an environment that's not safe, that's one thing, right? You're not the bad guy. If there is a concept of the bad guy, which I'm not even sure if there is a bad guy at this point. But it's pretty obvious Americans have failed. It's just obvious. There's other ways of doing things. Again, we could have a mask mandate on our planes, but we don't. Why? Because right-wingers get triggered and cry, and everyone's got to give the baby what they need. Give the baby the bottle, so mask mandates are gone. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. That is crazy. That is insane. Imagine if you, because you got to get a job. Let's say you lose your job. Sucks, right? You got to get a temp job while you look for something else in your field. You decide, I'll work at a restaurant down the street. They're looking for people. You know, I have a minor in culinary, whatever the fuck. So you work at this restaurant. Now, you're a Christian. You're a God-fearing Christian. You love God. You love Jesus. But you know what Jesus didn't love? Soap. There was no soap. He didn't use soap. He didn't know what that was. He didn't know about germs. I know, he's all-knowing, all-powerful. Somehow germs slipped his mind. No mention of them in the Bible. There's no germs. So you don't believe in germs. So you're working. You know, it's maybe like day 2, right? No one's really noticed. Maybe day 3. You come out of the bathroom, right? So there's a flush, and literally within seconds, you're walking out of the bathroom. And then someone looks at you and is like, did you wash your hands? And then imagine this. In this instance, the person who leaves the bathroom, I know this story is getting convoluted, bear with me. The guy that leaves the bathroom starts crying. I'm just like bawling. Like we're talking about like they break their phone out and go, what did you just say to me? What did you just say to me? What did you just? That's what they do. Are you telling me? I don't believe in that. I don't believe in big soap. Big soap. It's all a conspiracy. Big soap. Big soap. Now imagine this. Imagine the owner of this restaurant comes in and says, you know what? This guy's right. No one has to wash their hands. Now, some people might still wash their hands. And that's good. But it's no longer required. And so what does that mean? It's no longer required. It means a lot of people are just not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. Think about it. We know people will die, and they do it anyway. We know people will die. It's provable. They do it anyway. So think about it. We could have a system where we quote unquote live with the pandemic. America chooses not to. America wants to pretend that it doesn't exist. Living with the pandemic, whatever the fuck that means, I'll tell you what it means. It means wearing a mask when you leave the house. It means taking required medications. It means washing your hands before you eat. If you go outside and start eating dirt, would you be surprised if someone walked up to you and say, hey, buddy, what the fuck are you doing? You shouldn't be eating dirt. It's bad for you. Would you be surprised? Because that's what most Americans do every time they go inside a building, usually a poorly ventilated building, without a mask on. They're eating dirt. That's what they're doing. They're eating dirt, face full of dirt. You ever play Silent Hill 2? It's a great game. I love Silent Hill 2. You know Eddie in Silent Hill 2? You know that scene when he's eating the pizza and he's stuffing his face with that pizza pie? That's you with dirt every time you enter a fucking goddamn room or a house without a mask on. Face full of dirt. And we're not talking about the Alice in Chains album, okay? We're not. I wish we were, but we're not, okay? So again, how do we prevent the spread of COVID? You wear a fucking mask. So again, this article is going to talk about get up to date on your shots. I agree. Consider masking. I love this. I love this. Consider. How to stay safe. Consider it. Is that saying so? In order to stay safe, the only thing I need to do is consider it. I think I won't wear a mask today. Well, I'm safe. I stayed safe. I considered it. I considered wearing the mask. Right? While it is, and of course this is underlined, right? And again, it's underlined because it's a hyperlink, right? Which is presenting you an option to click on another link. But how does human psychology work? When dumb motherfuckers see an underline, they think, damn, that's important. Now again, I'm talking about boomers. I'm 26 years old. I know people in my age bracket. We know what that means. Someone who's 50 and reading something like this on their tablet, they might, it's underlined. It's no longer required. Oh, okay. While it is no longer required in most settings, many health officials say that wearing a mask, especially in indoor public settings, can help limit the spread of germs. I love the language. Consider. Can help. It can help. It can help? What? Quote, masks will provide protection against RSV and flu the same way they provide protection against COVID transmission. Yeah, not they can help. They help. Willis said he's also asking family members who don't normally mask up to do so in indoor public settings starting 4 days before his holiday gathering. I love this, by the way. The idea, oh yeah, I don't normally mask up, but my scientist cousin or whatever told me to mask up 4 days. Yeah, they're all going to listen. Everyone's going to listen to that guy. Hey, God help him. If you're sick, stay home. This is the worst message of it all. If you're sick, stay home. No, not if you're sick, stay home. Stay home. If you're sick or not. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm the weird one because I've got like -5 people in my family that I even remotely like. Maybe I'm the weird one. But like I can't imagine dying for Thanksgiving. Now, again, I described my Thanksgivings earlier. Pretty much the same shit with Christmas. You know, it's weeks and weeks. Oh, can you do me a favor? Can you get this? Can you get that? Can you go shopping? Can you do this? Can you do this for me? Can you pick this up for me? Weeks of that fucking bullshit. And then the day of, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. You can't go in the fucking kitchen to get a goddamn seltzer out of the fridge with these motherfuckers. You know? I'm not going to die for that. I'm sorry. Maybe I would die for Super Sex Island that I mentioned earlier. But I'm not going to die for Thanks fucking Giving, okay? I'm sorry. I refuse. So when my family calls me up this holiday season, and they already know this because we've already had these conversations, but when they call me up, I'm letting that shit go to voicemail, motherfucker. And my voicemail is full, so good luck leaving a message. So anyway, I don't know. You can read these articles and look more into long COVID if you'd like, but I look at everything around me and I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck do I get out of here? Where's the exit sign? Not over there. I can't find it. So anyway, that's my hour-long COVID segment where like 80% of it is like a bad stand-up bit. But anyway, those are the two things I wanted to talk about today. So we're going into the Q-Cock portion of the program, which actually has like a box. There's like a special chat. I don't know how it works. I think if you go to the live chat and you click on questions, right? And then you can ask anything in that section. I like using it. It's a cool feature. So go in there and ask me a question. We got Q-Cock here. I consider yeeting myself off the planet regularly. Oh, you bet. You bet. Why fuck? What am I doing any of this for? I don't know. I don't have a reason. The best reason I can come up with is because I can't shut the fuck up. Like, if I don't talk about this stuff, I bottle it up and it hurts me emotionally. And so, might as well do it on a show and maybe monetize it. That's the only reason I got. Am I going to save the world? No. Am I going to have any positive impact on the world? No. That's not happening. The world's fucked. Nothing we do will change that. Now again, I'm open. I'm willing to believe that there's some secret thing to do, but I'm not seeing it. It should be on the entire show. That's a good point. Yeah, do the Q-Cock the whole program and then at the end go in there. Bob Carmody, how does this magic work? That's a good question. What am I doing for Thanksgiving? I don't know. I'll probably sit here and do a show. Why is our society so shit? I really don't know, Tyler. I really don't know. Comment. Glad you're back. I'm glad you can't shut up. Yeah, me too. All right, we're back to the live chat. Goddamn retro boomer, you gotta use the motherfucking Q-Cock feature. I'm not gonna fucking read your question. I don't want to know about your question. It's in the wrong fucking spot. I know you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm a boomer. I don't know how to use this. Oh, I'm so old. I'm gonna die soon. I have jaundice. I know that's what you're thinking right now. But please, for the love of God, I'm trying to use the new motherfucking feature. Please help me out here, okay? Oh. I don't know. Maybe the feature sucks. Does it filter shit? Is it like a top chat kind of filter where it filters some words out? I don't know. Not sure. How much is Big Soap paying me? Big Soap is paying me a lot. I actually have a new renewed contract with Big Soap. I was going to announce this. In fact, that's why I took about a week off. Because I actually flew on a plane to, Sud Valley and had a meeting with the Commission of Soap Companies. Anyway, Alright, I'm gonna end the Q-cock. I don't know. I'm just trying out the features, okay? I just want to see what happens, okay? What kind of soap do I use? I get literally... I don't have any brand loyalty. I rotate. Mayor, Manicure, and Sud Valley. Well, I don't want to name names. Shurif? Is there another film you're planning to review? I'll do a movie review at some point. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to talk about the show schedule. Now, I'm going to say this much right away. I will not be doing a program on Friday. There will be no program on Friday. You're going to show up Friday, and you're going to be like, what the fuck? What? Because I'm not going to be here, okay? Also, in other news, I'm considering... Now, again, I'm not sure yet. I'm wanting to discuss this with the chat room. But I'm open and I'm considering doing a less than 7-day-a-week schedule for the rest of the year. So, you know, I don't know what that would look like. But I'm throwing that out there. So maybe I'll do another, like one of those surveys, you know, like the Google form. And I'll see what people think. But considering it, it's possible. Did you say do a program? Yes, I did say that, actually. Yeah, I read every survey. I read it multiple times, actually. But yes, I will tell you this much right now. I will not be here on Friday. I have plans. Yeah, that's right. So I will not be here on Friday. And there you go. So, but other than that, the schedule right now is still 7 days a week, but I might want to reduce that for the rest of the year. I've got a couple of other things that I really want to make progress on by the time the year is over, and I am not making adequate progress. So I'm going to take more time off for my own sanity and because I'm working on other things. So there you go. Black Friday shopping. Oh, you bet. You bet. Going out there. You know, because here's the thing. You might be wondering, why are you so anti-Thanksgiving? Because I'm out there in line. I'm first in line on Black fucking Friday. 8 a.m. Wednesday morning. I am in line. First in line for Black Friday. No one's going to beat my spot. So that's the real reason why I'm so anti-Thanksgiving. You ever see that shit, man? You ever see Black Friday videos? I know it's not indicative of all Black Friday incidents, but like, you ever really, like, you ever just fucking sit there? I'm going to do this. This is going to be a whole new segment here. You ever just sit there and look at these Black Friday videos? Like, and now, again, I talked on my show about speed limits and how every time we increase the speed limit, the cost is more people will die. Every point, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but you can look it up. There's a formula. Every point of speed limit increase is like it will predictably and has predictably kill more people, right? So I talked about that. But let's also talk about Black Friday. On that same note, imagine this. Imagine. You're an American. You live here. I know. God, shit. Am I right? Okay, so you live in America. And you know what Black Friday is if you live in America. And you've seen the videos. Everybody Everybody has seen Black Friday videos. You know what I'm talking about. You're seeing the image in your mind. I don't need to specify any specific. You know when I say those Black Friday videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Imagine this. Imagine. Americans are so psychopathic that they will literally stand in line outside of a building in the winter time just so that they can storm the gates of a Walmart to buy like one cheap piece of shit plastic dumb fuck toy for their done shit for fucking brains kid for Christmas. So much so, they really want that toy and they want it at 5% off. So much so that they are willing to go. Now, have you ever been shopping on Black Friday? I've been in the store on Black Friday a couple times in my life just to check it out. You know, I didn't even really want anything. I just wanted to kind of see what's going on. It's like going to a protest, you know. Now, you know, just see what's going on. I don't really know what they're protesting about. I heard people with a megaphone shouting. I'll walk over just to see what's going on. You know, it's like going to the zoo. Right? You ever go to Black Friday? You ever do this? Yep. Has anyone... Now imagine this, right? Imagine this. You get really fucking high. You do a lot of drugs. I'm talking about like, you know, weed. Go to Walmart on Black Friday. Wear like 10 masks. You got like a gas mask if you have one. And if you don't have one, maybe you can buy one on Black Friday. And just like pick a corner somewhere near the entrance. Just pick a corner, hang out somewhere, lean against something somewhere, and just watch. Just watch. Hang out near the produce section. No one's going to be there. Right? It's America, goddammit. Hang out where like the lettuce is, the spinach, you know. Hang out in that section. Lean up against the celery. You know that shit's not going anywhere. And just watch. I mean, think about how fucked up Americans are. Think about it. Think about it. Like, we live in a world where every year, predictably, like I'm saying this right now on Monday, the week before Black Friday, I'm telling you this right now. There will be people 1 week from now, there will be people that are alive today, alive right now. They are alive. They are breathing. They are drinking water, maybe. Eating food, something. They are alive right now. And in 1 week from now, they will be dead. Think about that. Why? Because Black Friday is a cultural phenomenon. Now, again, who started Black Friday? Corporations. Isn't that crazy? Think about this. Like, shouldn't that be a national emergency? Think about it. Okay. I'm a terrorist. Boom. I'm going to get them all. Okay? Death to America, etc. I'm a terrorist. All right? And I don't know. I go on YouTube, which is where I am right now, and I say, I'm going to commit this terror attack at this location at this time. And everyone sees it. Now imagine this, right? Everyone's, terror attack. It's all over mainstream media. Everyone in the country. Have you heard about this? It's like 9/11, but like, you know, nothing happened yet. Everyone's heard about it. Everyone knows. I guarantee you, there's still going to be motherfuckers going to that store, wherever that time and place is, that's in the terror announcement video. I guarantee you, there's still going to be motherfuckers there. Like, this is America, baby. Like, Black Friday, in my opinion, Black Friday, example of how Americans are psychopathic. Now, not everyone goes out shopping on Black Friday. I don't. Fuck that shit. Cyber Monday, I'm sitting in my fucking bed. I'm ordering a fucking, hat from my cell phone. I'm not going to a fucking store. There's a pandemic going on. I'm not doing that shit. Right? But there are people that do. And they know this. They know that there is a chance that they'll be injured. Or they know, let's say you have a friend. Oh, I'm going to go shopping on Black Friday. Like, the people that don't live in the same society. Like, what happens on Monday, the following Monday, when Jeffrey doesn't come into work? Sorry, Jeffrey's in the hospital. He went to Kmart and tried to get a Barbie doll for his 3-year-old child, who won't remember it anyway. And someone threw him into a metal shelf and cracked his skull open. So Jeffrey is not going to be in today. When is everyone else going to hit the brakes on this shit? When are the non-Black Friday shoppers going to decide enough is enough? Think about it, okay? I don't want to live in a world where people go out there and kill each other for a blender that's $10 off, but still $80 overpriced anyway. I don't want anyone to die over this. What can I do to end Black Friday? Can I do anything? If we organized all the non-Black Friday enjoyers, could we stop Black Friday? Think about it. What do we do as a society? And this is why I say organizing as a whole is hopeless. Now, again, I'm still in favor of organizing. I will organize whenever I have the opportunity, etc. I endorse it. I think everyone should. But it's hopeless. Can we really think about it? What do we do with the people that go out shopping on Black Friday? Think about it. Those are like the Trumpers. When you use this as a political analogy, right? What do we do with the Trumpers? Can we make any societal change when 1 in 5 of these motherfuckers is a crazy lunatic that wants to kill everyone else? Can we make any societal change when people actually wait in line outside of a Walmart on Black Friday? Think about this. This is a signal, not that society is collapsing. That is not the signal. That is a misinterpretation. Black Friday is not a signal of society's imminent collapse. It is a signal that society has already collapsed. Because what is society? Think about it. What is society? What is the goal of a civilization? What is a goal of a civilization? Because however you define that, what's currently going on, can you really call this a civilization? Can you? No clean water. No clean food. No clean air. Asphalt and death machines driving all over the place so you can't even walk across the street without risking your life. Nowhere to stay without going somewhere else to get a shit-fuck job. Do we live in a society? Do we live in a civilization? Anyway, Black Friday. Can you believe that shit? What's the deal with Black Friday anyway? That shit's crazy, man. Alright, Nestle, which by the way, it's pronounced Nestle. I don't care what the fuck their accent mark or whatever's. It's pronounced Nestle. Nestle will not sell you clean water because they don't produce clean water. They produce microplastic-ridden shit-fuck water. So, how's Maxie? Maxie is fucking great. I don't know where he is. I think he's hanging out. Max! He's somewhere. No, I don't know if you can hear the pitter patter. Max, you got pause, buddy. It's a Max dog. He's right there. He's right there. He's right there. Holy shit. He's right here. Those motherfuckers are Nestle, man. I'm not respecting that brand. Anyway. I survived another day. I did another show without dying. So that's good news. I'm still alive. Just to be very clear, just so that we're all on the same page here, I am not a terrorist. I am not planning on doing any terror attacks. I merely said that for analogy purposes earlier. So just to be very clear, I am not a terrorist, nor have I ever been a terrorist. And also, as of this moment, I am not planning or plotting in any capacity to become a terrorist. So just throwing that out there, just got to be clear. Twitch streaming, I don't know how to stream on Twitch. What do I do? So I like playing video games, right? But I don't like talking to people. So I'm going to take something I like and then sprinkle in shit that I hate on top of it. For what reason? It's like dipping your garlic in horse manure, you know? Like garlic, love garlic. It's like you have your pizza, right? And you put some mucus on it, you know? Anyway, that's my perspective on streaming at this moment in time. That might change in the future, but that is my current mindset. So hopefully I've answered that question. I'm sorry for being such a... Am I allowed to say it? Am I allowed to say this? I know YouTube they get mad at me when you say this, but C word. That's me. Hey, I'm just saying. No, I didn't say anything, actually. I didn't say anything. But anyway. An obsessive weirdo who comments on Andrea's videos and tells her that she laughs at 9/11. The thing is about that guy, Andrew Kohler, is like, I give that kind of person like way more than enough ammo for them to get triggered, and yet they still make shit up. Like the example of me laughing at 9/11, that is true. I do laugh at 9/11. I think 9/11 is stupid. I think anyone, like, if you were personally affected by 9/11, obviously you're exempt, okay? But I mean, like, someone in Idaho who like does like a fucking moment of silence, I mean, go fuck yourself, man, okay? What are you doing? Right? That's my opinion. But again, there's so many, like that's a truism, right? That's just factual, right? 9/11 people are fucking weird, okay? But like, they also make so many things up. Like, I have been arrested apparently at like multiple BLM riots. Like, this is their language, of course, in 2020. Never happened. I've never been arrested. Now again, they extrapolate, like, I had a court issue one time last year into me having been arrested like 20 times or something, you know. All kinds of conspiracies. I love them. I think they're great. My opinion, it's great. I love. Now again, this has gotten me into problems. I will say this. This has gotten me into problems, this opinion. But I love when people write fan fiction about me, and that's what I call it, ultimately. It's fan fiction. They are fans, and they are writing their own headcanon. It's like watching a show you really like, right? And you're like, that character's got to be gay. And, you know, there's never really any, you know, it doesn't prove it, or it doesn't, you know, it's not like they're any in any hetero relationship, right? So they could be gay. It's possible, but it's not really in the show. They're not a gay character in the show. It's your headcanon, right? I love when people write fan fiction about me, right? I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Like, but the problem really is that the Venn diagram of people that would write fan fiction about me is very close to a circle, with the other theoretical circle being people that would want to murder me. You know what I mean? Like, I have no problem with you writing up a bunch of stories about me. That's fine. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. But when you try to get me killed, that's the problem. That's the problem. You can hate me. You can think I'm, you know, sucky. That's cool. You can write whatever you want, wherever you want. It can be like the most disgusting, but when you're trying to get me killed, man, that's kind of weird, bro. So, you know, I used to really enjoy fan fiction, and I used to egg people on that would write fan fiction. So every now and then I like to throw some of them a bone. You know, like what I said about 9/11. I like to throw them a bone every once in a while. I think it's funny. I genuinely, and again, this has gotten me into trouble, but I genuinely think when people make shit up about me and then get mad about it, I think that's hilarious. There's something about it, really. I mean, it's like the best and the worst part about having like any sort of fame at all. Right? Like any sort of fame in any capacity, right? It's the best and the worst part. You get to have people write their own novels about you, but then also there's a good chance they also might want to kill you. You know? So it's like, you know, I'll take the 6-paragraph essay, but if we can leave it there, that'd be great. So, yeah, I encourage pretty much anyone to write any sort of fan fiction they want. Go for it, buddy. I'm in. So, but I do not encourage it nearly as actively as I used to, as that has gotten me into trouble. Yeah, that's my show. That's it.
And 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest. And I just spoke to my people.
It is is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
I am not up to the job. And I mean that sincerely. It's not like, whoa.
They had a very bad original concept. It was carried out poorly, and the cover-up was one of the worst in the history of cover-ups. Very simple. Bad deal, should have never been thought of. Somebody really messed up, and they had the worst cover-up ever. And where it should have stopped is at the deal standpoint when they thought about it. And whoever thought of that idea, I think, is in big trouble.
What rules, you sons of bitches?